Good morning. You're watching Morning Rush. I'm Alex Livingston.
And I'm Jay Strubberg.
This morning, several Americans wrongfully detained by Russia are back on American soil after a historic prisoner exchange.
Yeah, early this morning, the 3 freed Americans touching down in Texas, where they will undergo medical evaluations after their time behind bars. One of the freed detainees, Marine veteran Paul Whelan, who spoke on finally being back home after years in a Russian prison.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm home. Yeah. I'm never going back there again.
No kidding.
Yeah, good idea. That emotion powerfully felt in the newsroom of the Wall Street Journal over the return of their colleague, Evan Gershkovich.
The Journal's editor-in-chief saying it is a joyous day for Evan's colleagues, along with the millions of Americans who offered their support throughout the ordeal. She expressed gratitude to President Biden and the administration for all it did in the effort to bring him and other detainees home.
Joining us now is Russia Bureau Chief for the Wall Street Journal, Ann Simmons. Thank you so much for your time this morning. I can't imagine what the emotions are like for you all hearing Evan's return. And you aren't just Evan's colleague and friend at the Journal. You're actually his supervisor and the person who hired him. So how does it feel to finally have him back?
Oh, it's just a tremendous occasion. This really is a momentous development for Evan, his family, and his family at the Wall Street Journal. Evan was away from us for 16 months in a Russian prison, a place where he did not deserve to be. And we are absolutely elated that he is back with us and will soon hopefully be back in the newsroom.
We had one of our local correspondents who said that the release, especially of Evan in particular, it really signifies, you know, a true American value of journalism and holding people's feet to the fire and speaking to truth here. So in the big picture, I mean, what does this, how significant is it that he is now home?
It truly is significant because Evan is a journalist. He was in Russia practicing journalism, nothing more, and really trying to shed light on the Russian story. As you know, Evan really was able and is able to understand the subtle nuances in Russian culture, history, literature, which he studied. Truly important. Him being home now has really shown that basically, you know, journalism is not a crime. And the Wall Street Journal launched an extremely, very strong campaign of advocacy to help obtain his release and to make sure that Evan's story remained front and center and that the Biden administration did not forget him. And certainly it did not. And we're so pleased to have Evan home.
The Journal has a new article out that goes into the extent of the negotiations, and I wanted to mention one line that really stuck out to me, and it's at the end, where before his release, Evan had to make an official request for presidential clemency to Vladimir Putin, and there was a long blank space in there, and what he put in that line is asking Vladimir Putin if he'd be willing to sit down for an interview, given everything that he's already went through. What does that tell you? I don't know if that was a cheeky response, like putting a little jab in there. What does that tell you about Evan's personality and his approach to this craft?
Oh, it tells you everything. It really speaks to Evan's character. After 16 months in a Russian prison, and he's still thinking journalism. He's still thinking, you know what? This is an opportunity for me to ask the president of Russia for an interview. It really speaks to Evan's character. He's an incredible young man and an incredible journalist, always thinking about the story. And also, you know, President Putin demands detainees to basically request his pardon. And, you know, Evan knew that that was essential to do, was necessary, had no choice but to do that, but made sure doing so that he was able to at least get something out of it by asking the president of Russia for an interview. And we'll see if that comes to fruition. But it really does speak volumes about the personality of this young man, his resilience that he has shown throughout the 16 months of detention, and the fact that he's ready to jump back on the horse and get on with his job.
You were removed from Moscow the day after Evan's arrest, after working in the Bureau for 5 years. What concerns did you have for your own safety or freedom?
has always been challenging, and it became even more challenging following the Kremlin's invasion of Ukraine. You're always very aware that you could be monitored, followed, you're surveilled online, your digital correspondence. So there's always that in the back of your mind. But, you know, those people, those of us journalists who work in Russia, who have worked in Russia, it's because we know that it's an important story to tell. You need boots on the ground to really understand what Russian people are going through, what the regime is all about. It is necessary to still be there and talk to people. And that's why it's so unfortunate that it's so risky now to work in Russia as a journalist. So the dynamic has changed. The detention of Evan and the harassment of other journalists has certainly created a chilling effect for the world of journalism. And, you know, we're hoping that one day that, yes, maybe we will be back on the ground there in Russia and able to tell the story, witness it firsthand.
And we actually have heard from Evan right after he touched down in the U.S. Let's listen to his comments.
You know, basically everybody I sat with is a political prisoner, and nobody knows them publicly. They have, you know, various political beliefs, so they're not all connected with. Today was a really touching moment to see all of them, and it would be, you know, I think good to see if we could potentially do something about them as well. I'd like to talk about that.
What's it going to be like when he returns to that newsroom?
It's going to be incredible. First of all, we're going to drink champagne and have a party and hoist him in the air. But I think the point that Evan made was really, really touching, because he did say that so many of, you know, those Russian prisoners who were released, their stories aren't as well known. And they have been through a really hard and trying time. And, you know, of course, you know, he basically took his hat off to Russian journalists as well, who have to live in Russia and go through, you know, kind of the harassment and intimidation every day and take such risks to do their job. So I definitely want to acknowledge the local Russian reporters as well.
All right, Ann Simmons, Russia Bureau Chief for the Wall Street Journal. Thank you so much for your time and your insight and all the work that you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.